Welcome to Live DAF, your online DAF Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem and welcome back to today's DAF, Bava Kamma DAF Kuf Aleph. We are holding right on top of the Amud Tanu Rabbanon. Says the Brisa, Hanoising Eitzim L'chorosh, Lasos Mehen Kisei. So once again we're on this topic of a fellow who commissioned a craftsman to fabricate something for him, in this case a piece of furniture. So Reuven hands Shimon, the craftsman, some raw material, some wood. Noisen eitzim lacharash, to this carpenter, lasos men kisei, to fabricate with this wood, fabricate a chair. V'asam hen safsol, he decided to turn into a bench. Or safsol, I asked him for a bench. V'asam hen kisei, and he produced a chair. Rabbi Yehuda, in this case, he's koina b'shina, he's a gazlan. He took my material and applied it for something else. That's a shino, a drastic change. So the craftsman acquires that item, and all he does is pay me back for my raw material. Rabbi Yehuda, he just pays him back for his raw material, for his wood. Okay? Rabbi Yehuda, he says like this. No, we penalize this fellow. We don't let him keep the item. So he returns the piece of furniture, and he gets compensated somewhat, but just a very small amount, the lesser of the two amounts. Either the expenses that he expended on this project, or the added value that he contributed to, that he caused. Rabbi Yehuda, ima shvach, if this item is now worth more than before, obviously it is, so that increase in value is greater, Yasser ala Yetzia, exceeds the amount of money that this craftsman invested in the project. He doesn't get the shvach, he gets the lesser of the two amounts he gets for his expenses. And the other way around as well. If his expenses exceed the shvach, he only gets the shvach. He's only entitled to the shvach amount. So bottom line, Rabbi Yehuda applies a knas. We make him lose very much. He has to give it all back and just gets a sort of a symbolic amount. Whereas Rameir says he's kind of b'shina. But even Rameir agrees that if there was no drastic change, if it was just a question of inferior quality, same item but lower quality, there he can't say he's kind of b'shina. So there, even Rameir would agree that we apply this formula. So I gave him some wood to fabricate this elegant chair, and he produced this plain looking chair. Or safsal noah, safsal kar, a nicer bench. And he did a very simple or ugly looking bench. So here we say it's not a drastic shinui. It's not like he did a different item. So here he's entitled to keep he has to give the item back to the owner, and he gets that symbolic amount, as we said before, whichever one, the lesser of the two amounts. Ima shvach yaser al yitzia, he gets the investment. He gets for his expenses. If his expenses are greater than the shvach that he caused, he only gets whatever he increased in the item. Iboilu becomes an interesting question. Yesh shvach samonin alat semer, oy ein shvach samonin alat semer. So we have samonin, which are ingredients, paint, dye ingredients, which are crushed and soaked and turned into dye, and then absorbed into the raw material, in this case, semer wool. Is that color, is that pigment something tangible, something real, or is it just like a superficial, appearance factor? Let's see Rashi here, 4 lines off the top. Yesh shevach chulu, says Rashi Kalaimer. The Gemara means to ask like this: Chazusa, change of color, appearance. Is that something tangible, or just relative to what the eye sees? Is a color an inherent, property in the item, or is it just something, for appearance sake, which is not really considered something real and tangible? Chazusa milsahi. Do we have to reckon with it or not? Is color an existence, or is it just an appearance? We'll see. The Gemara will go through it in great detail. to analyze exactly what do we mean to ask. It's not just a philosophical question. It has a lot of ramifications. Let's see. Yesh shvach samonin alat semer, the increase, the betterment, the improvement that the samonin, that the dye affected on the tzemer, is that something real? Is that an existing factor? Or perhaps we can just ignore it. It's something very superficial. It's just, skin deep, its appearance. Okay, now how exactly are we speaking? Pertaining to what? Are we speaking that a fellow stole ingredients used to make dye? He crushed them. He soaked them. He has ready-made paint. And he used it to dye this material. Right? His own material. With the other fellows, he took the other fellows' ingredients, turned it into dye, and applied it to his own material. So what's the question? Is the color still here? In which case he has to typically b'shum de kanina b'shinui. So there's no question that he doesn't have to give back the dye in his material because he changed it, he transformed it, he processed it. He turned it from ingredients to dye, and it's sitting up. So of course he doesn't own the actual color back. L'tzricha must be speaking the gazel saman shruin. V'tzava b'hu. He stole ready-made paint and applied it to his own material. Mai. What happens now? Yesh shvach saman al gabet semer. Do we say it's here? And therefore, v'amar le'havli samanoy d'shachlisinu. So the other fellow, Reuben stole Shimon's paint and used it to dye his own material. Do we say that the paint is something tangible, and Shimon can now claim against Reuben, give me back my paint? Or shall we say, ein shvach saman al gabet semer? The betterment, the improvement affected by the saman on the tzemer, not something that's any longer here, not something tangible, not something that you can relate to anymore. It's it's been absorbed, it's already non-existent, and therefore so Reuben can respond to Shimon, look, sorry, there's nothing of yours here. It's not tangible, nothing to speak of. 1 second, Amri, the answer to the question was, you're right. Suppose you're right. It's no longer here. But how could Reuben just deny Shimon's claim? I have nothing of yours by me. What do you mean? Shimon can respond very simply. I understand that now it's already in your... But remember, you took a whole truckload of my ingredients. You made me... You stole my stuff. So there's no question. Either way, he has to pay. So there's no real halachic ramification to the shayla in this case. Rather, it's the other way. If the samanin are not visible here, are no longer tangible, so in this case, Reuben would have to pay. So we're switching it around. Just the opposite. If it's non-existent, then Reuben has to pay him back for the paint that he stole. On the other hand, yesh shvach saman al gabet semer. The paint is still real, still an existing factor, and therefore Reuben can say like this: look, your paint. Oh, it's right here. Look at this red color on my suit. Shaklinu. You can take it back. It's here. 1 second. Shaklinu b'mai. How do you expect him to take back his paint? Shakli b'tzafon. With some sort of, soap or whatever. Well, tzafon, avuri me'aver. It's just going to dilute it and destroy it. The paint remover is going to remove the paint, but you're not going to have paint anymore. Nor here nor there. So I never return the paint to you if I just allow you to scrape it off my suit. So there's no question that it's not a solution. And I haven't really fulfilled my obligations. Allah, my skin was speaking like this. It must be kigoyin the god al tzemer v'saman and the chat. Reuben stole Shimon's tzemer and samanan, so 2 items. He stole his wool and his paint. V'tzavei lahu tzemer banach samanin. And he went to work, dyeing Shimon's material with Shimon's paint. So 2 turned into 1. It's no longer wool and paint. The wool and the paint are all one entity now. Okay, it's been absorbed in the material. And Reuben knocks on Shimon's door. Here, take your stuff back. Here's your material. Here's your paint. It happens to be it's all in one. Does that work or not? So it depends how you look at it. Yesh shvach samanin al gabayat semer. You view the paint as though it's still here. Great. So I gave it all back to you. Here's the material and here's your paint. Oidilma or no. Ein shvach saman al gabayat semer. The paint is non-existent. Vitsemer mahadalei siman alei mahadalei. So now, when he returned the whole package, it's not considered. It's only considered like he returned the tzemer. Samanin, the paint, the dye, is gone. So it doesn't do the trick. Says the more hold it. The question was typically the akrlini alei b'dmei. Okay, granted. Even if we assume that technically speaking the dye is no longer, to be reckoned with. It's no longer here. But the fact is that Reuben's effort, right, Reuben's dyeing the material with Shimon's paint increased the value. It improved on the value of that raw material. So what's Shimon complaining about? He's getting back more than, right? It says, must be speaking that colored material dropped in price. He's not really getting back what he lost. Another way, another scenario where this question of ours can have ramifications. He stole the other fellow's monkey, a kaif, and his paint. And he took the can of spray paint and he sprayed the monkey. And he says, here, take it all back. Here's your monkey, here's your paint. Here there's no increase in value. The monkey didn't increase in value due to the fact that he was painted purple. So he can't say, look, you've gained your money back. So in this case, the question is back to the old question whether the paint is still there or is non-existent. Ravina Amar, here comes another option. Nobody stole anything. What happened was like this. Reuven owned tzemer. Shimon owned samanim. Suddenly comes along a monkey. He grabs the can of spray paint belonging to Shimon and sprays it all over Reuven's tzemer. Right? So there's no human involvement, no ganav, no gazl, no mazik. It's just circumstantial. Min hashemayim, his paint ended up in the other fellow's wool. Question is whether Shimon can demand the Reuven paying for the paint. Yesh shvach saman al gabit semer. Do we say that the color, the pigment, is something real? So Shimon can tell Reuven, look, where's my paint? You're holding on to my paint, pay me for it. Or ein shvach saman al gabit semer. Paint has been absorbed. It's nothing to speak of anymore. So Reuven can respond, look, I'm sorry that you lost your paint on my wool, but it's not here anymore. It's absorbed deep in the wool. It doesn't obligate me to pay you. So that's the question. So we have 1, 2, 3 scenarios where this question can be relevant. Tashma, we're going to try to prove it from the halach. About Erla, we know that a fruit tree within the first 3 years is forbidden, is asur. Not only ba'achila, you can't eat it, but you can't even benefit from it. Not only from the fruit itself, but even from its peels or skins, you can't use it for personal use. Tashma. Beged shetzvoy beklipi Erla. Let's say he went ahead, dyed a garment using Erla fruit, klipe Erla, the skins of a Erla fruit, colorful skins, and he dyed the beged. He got to burn the beged. Even though all he used was pigment from the Erla. Alma chazusa milsi, apparently color is something to reckon with. Amarava, that's very different. Erla, no, hanna, hanira le'naim, asra teira. By Erla, even though it has no ma'amashas, it has no tangibility. If it's something which benefits you even visually, like a pigment, or like Rashi says, flame of a candle, light, all those hana'is are included in Isur Arla as well. So that's a specific case. Arla, you can't learn from there. The Sanya, we have a Brisa which supports this. Arelim. Lo ye'achel. So we learned that you cannot eat Arla. Ainli ela Isur Achila. Here you only see that you cannot eat Arla. What about benefiting from Arla? You can't use it to dye your clothing. Or you can't light a candle from Arla. How do we know that's also included? So all these extra expressions are teaching you, the Rabbi says, to include all these types of benefits. So Arla is different. And you can't prove anything from Arla to financial matters. Tashmai comes another right from Shemitah. Once again, he misuses produce. This time it's something that grew on the 7th year, Shemitah. And once again, it's meant for personal use. It's not meant for commercial use. And he went ahead and he used the portion of the Shemitah fruit for commercial dyeing. You have to destroy it. So you see that chazusa milsa, color, paint, dye, pigment, appearance, is something that exists. That's something tangible. Shani Yasam, the answer is there as well. We have a special exception, the Makra Tia. The pasuk by Shemitah says Kodesh Tia. The word Tia tells you about Vyasa Tehei. Shemitah, the Shemitah status remains intact, meaning it carries over even to this type of case. And even just a slight misuse is to be accounted for. Rava Rami. Now Rava had a contradiction. On the one hand, Tanam we have a Mishnah, right? Beged shetzvoi b'klipa arla yidolik. Right? If one misuses the arla produce, benefits from it, you have to burn the beged. Alma chazus emilsahi. So color is a factor. Brahmini, Bava Kamma. Revius dam shenivlo bebayis. You have a revius of blood from a mace, from a dead person, which is metame ba'oil. So anything found under the same roof as that revius becomes tummy. Rashi says revius is the smallest amount that a person can still live with. Right? A revius in a person's body can still keep him alive. So that's called a nefesh, damu nefesh, and that's metame. Now let's say it was taken into a home, spilled on the floor and absorbed into the ground. Habayis tummy. So any kli, any utensil in that home became tummy. Not the building itself, that's a karka, it's not makabel tumah, but the items in there are tummy. Va'amrlo, we have another shita, which says habayis tohar. No, everything is okay. There really is no machlekes. Ha b'kelim davel mi'ikara. Ha b'kelim davel b'soif. An item that was present in the home while the blood in its liquid form was delivered to the home becomes tummy. But something which only entered the home after the blood was absorbed in the ground, that's tahor. Now, nivla b'ksus, let's say the blood was absorbed in a garment. Is it still in existence? Is it still spreading tumah or no? Ryan, we evaluate imis kabeses aksus. Suppose you would launder that beged, and the revius of dam would still come out of it. So you see it's still in liquid form, it still exists. Tmeya, so it spreads tumah even in its current form while absorbed, because it's still there. But if you would know that through laundering you can't get a revius dam out of there, so it's so deeply absorbed and it's like non-existent tahira, it does not spread tumah. Bottom line is, even though you have the look, the color still on the beged, there's a revius of blood in that beged, right? So even though you can't salvage it, part of it is stuck in there permanently, but the color is still visible, and that color is an expression of the content. So if color is a real factor, so the thing still exists in its fullness. So why isn't it going to be metame? Amar Rav Kahana, you're right. Once again, here we have an exception. Lekula. Mikula revius shanakan. This is another example of being lenient in terms of a revius dam, because we're speaking b'dam tvusa de Rabbana. It's not your standard dam from a mace. Rashi explains dam tvusa is blood which dripped from a person who was killed. Part of it came during his lifetime, part later. It's a suffix. It's only matame midrabanan. So we allow ourselves to be lenient. We ignore the blood which cannot be retrieved from the beged. Rava Rami. Here comes another kasha from Rava. Tanan. We have one Mishnah, Meseches Shviyos, listing all the different types of produce which have kedushas shviyos and must be treated accordingly. Miminat soivin. What are plants and things which provide dye and color, which are on the list of kedusha items? Sviches stim v'koitza. You have these plants, stim and koitza, which produce dye and color. Yesh lehen shviyos, v'ladmein shviyos. Yesh lehen bir, v'ladmein bir. Are treated all like a regular shemitah. So you can't deal with it commercially, and even money received on behalf of these items have to be treated accordingly. Yesh lehen bir means there's a deadline in terms of how long you can hold on to them, only as long as they're available for the animals out in the wild. V'ladmein bir, and likewise, monies received in exchange for these items have to be treated accordingly. Bottom line is that even plants which are not edibles, alma eitzim yesh ben mishum kedusha shviyos, they're treated like any other shemitah produce. Ramini, we have a kasha that inedibles are not shemitah enabled. Ali kanim, ali gefanim, you have leaves growing from these reeds and vines. Shegivevan bechaba al pnei asada, which he gathered from the field in order to store it for the winter time. So, what status do they have? Loktan la'achila. So apparently these things are still technically edible. These little fresh leaves. So if the point of gathering them was for personal consumption, so we treat it as such. Yesh ben mishum kedusha shviyos. We treat it as shviyos produce, and they must be treated accordingly. But le'etzim, if the intention was for firewood, ein ben mishum kedusha shviyos, that allows it to be labeled differently. It's inedible. It has no kedusha shviyos. But a minute ago we said sviches stim v'koitz, even though they're not edible, have kedusha shviyos. How does that work? Umeshani, and Rav himself offered a solution. Amar kra la'ach, the Torah, in describing the shviyos products. Well, shemitah is meant for la'achla, for personal consumption. La'achla means to eat. So that sets the formula. That sets the guideline. What shemitah growth has kedusha shviyos? What falls under the banner of a shemitah product pertaining to kedusha shviyos, which necessitates proper, care, to be treated properly? That's only something which is consumed in similar fashion to food. How does one consume food? The benefit from eating that food happens at the same time as the food is being consumed, as being obliterated, right? But it happens simultaneously. So that type of item, such as food, has kedusha shviyos. Yatsu eitzim, as opposed to wood. Shana oson acha b'uran, right? Firewood. How does one enjoy firewood? The ano only comes post-destruction. It's burnt, and that produces warmth, etc. So that item does not have kedusha shviyos. It cannot be consumed. It cannot be enjoyed as food is. So bottom line is, when it comes to something which is like wood, like firewood, there's no kedusha shviyos. Food does have kedusha shviyos, and likewise, says Rashi, plants which produce dye and color, that too has kedusha shviyos. You know why? Because there as well, the hano and the bir happened at the same time. Why? Says Rashi. You throw the colored plant into the vat. What happens? The material absorbs the dye as the dye is disintegrating. So the dissolving of the dye comes at the same time as the dye being absorbed. It's simultaneous process. Hano and the beer happen together, and therefore has kedusha shviyos. That explains the discrepancy between these two halachas. Sviches stim b'koitza have kedusha shviyos because they're used to color and to dye, whereas regular firewood does not. Vayika eats in the mashcha, but there's some like oily wood, which are used as like candles. Tana asan b'yur and shava. In that case, the benefit and the incineration happen at the same time. As it's burning, it gives off light. So why doesn't that have Kedusha Shvius? Amar Rava, well, we follow the majority. Stam Eitzim Lasoken. Even typically, wood is meant for heating, for firewood, and therefore Roiv Eitzim have that status, in which case they don't conform because the Anoah happens after the Bir. Right, the benefit is post-destruction, and therefore all wood fall under the same banner, even though you have technically some exceptions, but it doesn't matter. It follows the majority, and therefore, when it comes to Eitzim, there's no Kedusha Shvius. Food does have Kedusha Shvius, and likewise, plants used for coloring and painting. Okay, bottom line is, we discussed a craftsman who misuses raw material. We have two cases, one involved a drastic shinoi, one just a slight shinoi, and we know the halachas in each one. We discussed this interesting question of how to deal with pigment and appearance. Is it something tangible, something real? So with respect to Orla, with respect to Shvius, it is. Otherwise, we were not sure. And we concluded with the precise guidelines for what does conform to Kedusha Shvius and what does not. All the best to you, and Atzlacha Rabbah.